Frank Miller stood at the window of the massive council chamber. He looked out at the stars and the ships moving between them. 20 years as Earth's ambassador had led to this moment. His gray hair and tired eyes showed the weight of his duty. "Ambassador Miller, the council is ready for you now," said his aide. Frank nodded and straightened his blue uniform. He walked into the large round room, where 12 alien species sat in elevated seats. The room was cold, both in temperature and feeling. Council President Xerix, a tall blue-skinned being with 4 arms, looked down at Frank with 6 blinking eyes. The human representative may now present his case. Frank walked to the center of the room. His steps echoed in the quiet chamber. He cleared his throat and spoke clearly. "For 200 years, humanity has been part of this galactic council. We have shared our technology, our medicine, our art. We have fought in your wars. We have healed your sick. We have traded fairly." Frank paused. "Yet we remain second-class members." A low murmur went through the council members. "Humans control only 2 votes in this chamber, despite our contributions. Our ships are stopped and searched while others pass freely. Our colonies are given the poorest planets. Our traders face higher taxes," Frank continued. "Today I bring the final request of humanity: equal representation and fair treatment, or we will leave council space." Xerix laughed, a high-pitched sound that hurt Frank's ears. "Leave? And go where, human? Beyond the outer rim? To uncharted space? This is an empty threat." "It is not a threat. It is a promise," Frank said. "We will put this to a vote. Will the council grant humans equal standing? Yes or no?" The Tselnar representative, a short furry being with large eyes, stood up. "Humans have proven their worth many times. The Tselnar support this request." The Vulgarian delegate, a tall insect-like creature, clicked its mandibles. "The Vulgarians also support humans. Their medical knowledge saved millions of our young during the Great Plague." But one by one, the other council members spoke against the proposal. "Humans are too young a species. They are too aggressive. They breed too quickly. Their ideas are dangerous." The final vote was announced. 12 against, 3 for. The request was denied. Frank nodded slowly. He had expected this. He pulled out a small device and pressed a button. "The vote has been recorded and transmitted to Earth. Prime Minister Gary Mitchell will now address the council." A large screen appeared in the center of the chamber. The face of Earth's leader looked out at the aliens. "Council members, you have made your decision. Now hear ours. As of this moment, humanity begins its departure from council space. We will honor all existing contracts. We will ensure smooth transitions, but we will leave, taking our knowledge, our ships, and our people with us. We depart as one. Our journey continues elsewhere." The screen went dark. Xerix stood up quickly. "This is nonsense. You cannot just leave." Frank smiled sadly. "We already are. Look outside." The council members rushed to the windows. In the space around the station, hundreds of human ships were powering up their engines. The blue glow of their drives lit up the darkness. Frank's communicator buzzed. It was Admiral Lisa Bennett from the flagship Earth Guardian. "Ambassador, are you ready for pickup? The first wave of ships is preparing to jump." "I'll be ready in 10 minutes, Admiral. The council has made their choice." As Frank walked out, Xerix grabbed his arm. "You're bluffing. Humans have too much invested here." Frank gently removed the alien's hand. "We have invested, but we can build again. Goodbye, Council President. History will remember this day." Outside, Frank watched as the first group of human ships disappeared into hyperspace. The stars seemed to bend around them, and then they were gone. The exodus had begun. In her command chair, Admiral Bennett opened a channel to all human ships. "This is Admiral Bennett. First wave, report jump status." One by one, ship captains reported successful jumps. She nodded and sent a message to Earth. "Phase 1 complete. The departure has begun. 3 months passed like a slow wave across the galaxy. On every planet, moon, and space station where humans had built homes, the same scene played out. Ships loaded with people and belongings lifted off, one after another. Olivia Carter stood in the empty lab on Proxima Station. For 15 years, she had led research here. Now she watched as her team packed the last of their equipment. All nanofab units are offline, Dr. Carter, said her assistant. The basic life support systems will continue to work as promised in our contract. Everything else is coming with us. Olivia nodded. She ran her hand over a workbench where she had made breakthroughs in cell repair. The aliens would find nothing useful left behind. Not a single blueprint or sample remained. What about the medicine production line? She asked. We're leaving the current stock and simple recipes as agreed. The advanced formulas are already wiped from their computers. Outside the lab windows, the massive human colony ships waited. Over 10,000 people from this station alone would leave today. On the planet Selnar Prime, the situation was different. The small furry Selnar gathered in crowds to say goodbye to their human friends. Many wept openly with their large eyes. Chief Elder Kirax embraced Daniel Wright, the human colony leader. Must you go? The Selnar voted to support humans in the council. Daniel smiled sadly. We know, old friend, but humanity has decided to leave as one. Prime Minister Mitchell's orders were clear. Kirax pulled out a small wooden box. Then take this soil from our world. Plant something from Selnar in your new home. Daniel accepted the gift with wet eyes. We won't forget your friendship. In the Galactic Council chambers, an emergency meeting was in progress. Council President Xerix pounded his 4 fists on the table. How much longer will this human tantrum last? They can't possibly leave everything they've built. The Vulgarian representative clicked her mandibles in disagreement. Our reports show they are absolutely serious. 90% of human ships and citizens have already left Council space. Let them go, said the Dravid delegate with a dismissive wave of his tentacle. We managed before humans arrived. We will manage after they leave. A small alarm sounded, and all eyes turned to the monitor. It showed the massive human fleet gathered at the edge of the Alpha Centauri system. This was the last major human settlement in Council space. On the command ship Earth Guardian, Admiral Lisa Bennett gave the final order. All ships report status for final jump. One by one, the ship captains confirmed they were ready. Over 5,000 vessels of all sizes formed a sphere around the last human space station. The station itself had been stripped of all valuable technology. Lisa looked at her screen where Prime Minister Gary Mitchell waited for her report. Sir, the exodus from Alpha Centauri is ready. This is the last major human population center in Council space. Gary nodded solemnly. Proceed, Admiral. Once completed, only our observation post with Patricia Adams will remain. Lisa turned to her crew. Activate the jump drives. Coordinates are set for the Sagittarius Arm boundary. On the Council viewing screen, the massive fleet began to glow blue as thousands of jump drives activated at once. The light was so bright that some Council members had to shield their eyes. Then, in a flash that seemed to bend the very fabric of space, the ships vanished. Where there had been thousands of vessels, now there was only empty space and a single small communication beacon. On a distant Corellian world, factory workers stared in confusion as their production lines ground to a halt. The human engineers who maintained the systems were gone. Call headquarters, a supervisor shouted. The nanofabrication units have stopped working. Similar reports began coming in from across Council space. Everywhere humans had helped build or maintain advanced systems, things were beginning to fail. In his private chamber, Xerix received the first of what would become thousands of distress calls. Perhaps, he whispered to himself, we may have made a mistake. 6 months after the human exodus, the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. The Grand Chamber that once hosted representatives from all species now felt strangely empty with just one human present. Patricia Adams sat alone at the human section. As the last official human representative, she had stayed behind to observe and communicate. Her silver hair was tied back neatly, and her face remained calm as angry voices filled the room. "The water filtration systems on 3 of our colonies have failed," shouted the Dravid representative. "Our people are getting sick. The medical replicators no longer produce the cures we need," added another voice. "The Ardelian fever is spreading again." Council President Xerix raised all 4 of his hands for silence. "We have called this meeting to address these problems in a unified way, not to shout accusations." He turned to Patricia. "Human Adams, your people promised that all essential systems would continue to function." Patricia stood up slowly. "I have reviewed all contracts and agreements. Humans promised that systems would work at the time of departure. We did not promise ongoing support or upgrades." She held up a data pad. "Every contract clearly stated a maintenance period of 6 months. That period has now ended." The chamber erupted in angry shouts again. "This is sabotage. They intentionally made us dependent on their technology." Patricia waited for the noise to die down. "For 2 centuries, humans offered to teach you how our technology worked. Most species refused, saying our methods were too dangerous or unpredictable. You were happy to use what we built, but not to learn how we built it." On the Corellian homeworld, factory owner Grek stared at the silent production line. His fortune had been built on nanofabrication technology licensed from humans. Now the machines sat lifeless, their inner workings a mystery to his engineers. "Try again," he ordered his chief technician. "The humans must have left some clues about how these work." The technician looked tired. For weeks they had tried to reverse engineer the human technology. "Sir, we've taken everything apart and put it back together exactly as it was. The machines recognize all the parts, but they still won't function." Grek slammed his fist on the control panel. "How did we become so dependent on them?" In a quiet corner of council space, a different scene played out. Jack Powell, a human who had strong ties to the Xelnar, met secretly with their representatives on a small moon base. "I can't stay long," Jack said, handing over a small data crystal. "This contains updated schematics for your medical systems. It should keep things running for another year." The Xelnar elder bowed deeply. "The Xelnar remember who stood with us when the plague came. We will always be friends to humans." Jack smiled. "There are other human friends helping those who supported us, but it must remain secret." Back in the council chamber, the debate continued. Patricia listened as species blamed each other and humans for their problems. Finally, Xerix turned to her again. "Where have your people gone? We need to establish communication and negotiate new agreements." Patricia looked at him steadily. "Humanity has moved beyond the Sagittarius arm. They do not wish to be contacted. But surely for the right price." "It is not about money," Patricia interrupted. "It is about respect. For centuries, you used human innovations while treating humans as lesser beings. That time is over." As she spoke, her communication device beeped. She read the message and stood up. "This is my final appearance before the council. The observation post is now closing. Humanity wishes you well in solving your own problems." She walked out of the chamber as voices called after her. In orbit above, the last official human ship prepared to depart. On her private channel, Patricia contacted Samantha Hughes, the former cultural attaché who was waiting on the ship. "It's done," Patricia said. "They're starting to understand, but it's too late." Samantha nodded. "Set course for the rendezvous point. Our people are waiting." As their ship jumped to hyperspace, the last direct link to humanity vanished from Council space. 1 year after the humans left Council space, the problems grew worse. In the sectors where human ships once patrolled, pirates attacked trade vessels almost daily. No Council ships seemed able to stop them. On the trade world of Vexor Prime, Captain Julax of the Council Defense Force slammed his fist on the table. "We lost 3 more ships this week," he told his officers. "The pirates know all our patrol routes and tactics. The humans never had this problem, said a young officer. Their anti-piracy patrols were almost perfect. Do not mention humans in my command room, snapped Chulax. We don't need them. We just need better ships and weapons. But the Council could not build better ships. The advanced materials and designs the humans had provided were impossible to copy. The shipyards sat half empty throughout Council space. On the medical planet Ardelia, doctors worked desperately to fight a new disease. The Ardelian plague spread quickly, killing thousands. We need the human medical experts, said Dr. Venn to the Council Health Committee. They solved diseases like this before. The Council's own doctors will find a cure, said the committee head. We have your best minds working on it. But weeks passed, and no cure was found. The plague spread to 3 more worlds. In her small apartment on Selmar Prime, Samantha Hughes packed her few remaining belongings. As the former human cultural attaché, she had stayed longer than most to help her Selmar friends adjust to life without human assistance. Now it was time to leave. Her communicator beeped with messages from alien friends across Council space. They all asked the same questions. When will humans return? Can you help us just one more time? Did we not treat you well? Samantha sat down and recorded one final message to send to all of them. Dear friends, this is my last communication from Council space. Your Council chose isolation from humanity. We honor their choice. Remember what we taught you. Believe in your own abilities. Perhaps someday we will meet again. She sent the message and boarded the small ship waiting for her. It was the last unofficial human vessel in Council space. In the Galactic Council chamber, an emergency session was called. The representatives argued loudly about the growing problems. The trade routes in the Orion sector are completely closed now, said the trade minister. No ships can get through the pirate blockade. The medical crisis on Ardelia has spread to Vexer and Kuller, added the health minister. Our hospitals are overwhelmed. Council President Xerix looked tired. His once bright blue skin had turned pale. For a year he had promised that things would improve, that the Council would adapt to life without humans. Now he wasn't so sure. What about the communication beacon at Alpha Centauri? He asked. Can we send a message to the humans? An aide stepped forward nervously. Sir, the beacon went silent 3 days ago. We have no way to contact them directly. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. The last link to humanity was gone. In the back of the room, representatives from the Selmar and Vulgarians whispered together. They had voted to support humans in the Council, and now they suffered alongside the other species. But they had a plan. We should form our own coalition, said the Selmar representative. Work together outside the Council structure. The humans trusted us, agreed the Vulgarian. Perhaps some of them have left us ways to survive without the Council's knowledge. As they spoke, other representatives began to join their conversation. The division in the Council was growing deeper every day. On the far edge of Council space, the Alpha Centauri beacon drifted silently. Its lights were dark, its message lost. Around it, stars glowed in the blackness, uncaring about the problems of tiny beings in their grand galaxy. Inside the beacon, a timer counted down. When it reached 0, the last program written by humans would activate. Whether that program would reconnect the species or push them further apart, only time would tell. In human space, far beyond the reach of Council sensors, new cities grew and new ships launched. Humanity rebuilt what they had left behind, but better, stronger, and without the limitations the Council had placed on them. And they watched. They always watched what happened in the space they had left. 3 years after the humans left, a new danger appeared at the edge of Council space. The outer colony world of Viridian 9 sent a desperate message before going silent. Then 3 more worlds went dark within a week. In the Council chamber, emergency alarms flashed red as representatives argued loudly. The recordings from Viridian 9 played on the main screen. Strange black ships with purple energy weapons destroyed everything in their path. The Voidborn whispered that Selnar representative in horror. They have returned. Council President Xerix looked confused. The what? I have never heard of this species. Because the humans never told you, said the Xelnar. For decades, human ships patrolled the borders beyond the outer rim. They fought the Voidborn and kept them away from Council space. A shocked silence fell over the room. Why would they do this without telling us? Asked a council member. The Vulgarian representative clicked sadly. We knew. The humans showed us evidence of the Voidborn 20 years ago. The council dismissed their warnings as tricks to gain more power. On the colony world of New Taurus, the situation was desperate. The Voidborn ships orbited the planet, sending down troops to capture colonists. The Council Defense Forces had already retreated, leaving the civilians behind. In a hidden bunker beneath the main city, William Foster loaded his weapons. He had stayed behind when humans left, married to a Centaurian woman, and unwilling to leave her family. Now his military training was the colony's only hope. Everyone stay quiet, he told the 30 aliens huddled in the bunker. The Voidborn hunt by sound and heat. A small child whimpered, and her mother hushed her gently. William checked his old Earth Defense Force badge. Long ago, he had fought these same enemies alongside fellow human soldiers. Back then, humanity had better weapons and ships designed specifically to counter Voidborn technology. The Council ships can't stop them, he explained to the colony's leader. Their shields operate on the wrong frequency. Human ships used modulating shields that the Voidborn couldn't penetrate. Can you teach us to make these shields? Asked the leader. William shook his head. It would take months to convert your systems, and we have hours at most. Above them, the sounds of destruction continued. In the council chamber, the military commanders reported grim news. 4 fleets engaged the Voidborn. All were destroyed, said the head admiral. Their weapons pass through our shields as if they aren't there. Where are they heading? Asked Xerix. Based on their current course, straight toward the core worlds. Billions of lives are at risk. The council broke into panicked discussions until the Xelnar representative stood up. There is only one hope, he said firmly. We must find the humans and ask for their help. Impossible, shouted several voices. They abandoned us. No, corrected the Vulgarian. We rejected them. And now we need them more than ever. After hours of debate, the council voted. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council would humble itself to ask for help. We will send a delegation beyond the Sagittarius Arm, announced Xerix. Ambassador Krelax will lead the mission to find humanity. Krelax, a tall, slender being with silver skin, bowed. I will depart immediately, but finding them may not be easy. On New Taurus, William Foster led a daring raid on a Voidborn ship. With improvised explosives and knowledge of their weak points, his small team managed to capture the vessel. Get everyone on board, he ordered as survivors rushed up the ramp. This ship can outrun their fleet. As they escaped the burning colony, William sent a message on an old human frequency. To any human ships, this is William Foster, former EDF. The Voidborn have returned. New Taurus has fallen. We are running with survivors. If anyone can hear this, Council space is in danger. The message traveled into the darkness, toward the region where humanity had disappeared. William didn't know if anyone would hear it, but he had to try. In the council chamber, Xerix looked at the star map showing Voidborn advancement. How long until the delegation reaches human space? He asked. 3 weeks at maximum speed, replied an aide. Xerix's 6 eyes blinked slowly. And how long until the Voidborn reach our core worlds? 2 weeks, Mr. President. Perhaps less. Xerix stared at the map in silence. The council had made a terrible mistake, and now they might not have enough time to fix it. Ambassador Krelax stood on the bridge of the council ship Seeker as it traveled beyond known space. His silver skin reflected the dim light as he studied the star charts. For 2 weeks, they had followed faint energy trails that might lead to human settlements. Ambassador, "We have found something," called the sensor officer. "An abandoned station ahead." The seeker slowed as it approached a small human outpost floating in the darkness. The station showed no signs of damage, just empty halls and powered-down systems. "It appears they left this place in good order," said Captain Morax. "Not in a hurry or under attack." Krelax walked through the empty rooms. In one area, he found a map showing more stations farther out, creating a line of outposts stretching deep into uncharted space. They were expanding, he said, setting up way stations for a planned migration. Back on the Seeker, the delegation reviewed the data they had collected. Each abandoned outpost showed more advanced technology than the last. The humans had not been idle during their exile. Nicole Martinez sat quietly during these discussions. Half human and half Selmer, she had joined the mission as a navigator. Her human father had taught her to recognize the unique energy signature of human jump drives. "Ambassador," she said softly, "I believe I can track their path more efficiently. Human ships leave a special kind of trace in hyperspace." Krelax nodded. "Please proceed." With Nicole's guidance, the Seeker made better progress. They passed through a region of space where the stars seemed brighter, the nebulae more vibrant. "They'd been terraforming," said the science officer in amazement. "These systems show signs of environmental engineering on a scale we've never achieved." In the 4th week of their journey, they found fresh evidence. A recently abandoned mining operation, with tools still warm. "We're close," said Nicole. "Very close." The next day, as they entered a new star system, alarms blared across the ship. The Seeker dropped out of hyperspace suddenly, surrounded by energy barriers that had not been there seconds ago. "A trap," shouted Captain Morax. "Weapons online." "No," Krelax ordered. "We came in peace. We will not show aggression." On the view screen, a massive defense perimeter became visible. Thousands of satellites formed a web around the system, and behind them waited ships unlike any the Council had ever built. "Human design," whispered Nicole, "but far more advanced than what they had 3 years ago." A voice came over the communication system, speaking in the common galactic language. "Council vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Krelax stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Krelax of the Galactic Council. We seek humanity on a matter of grave importance." Silence followed. Then a new voice, deeper and more authoritative. "This is Commander Eric Johnson of the Human Systems Alliance. Remain where you are. A boarding party will inspect your vessel." The delegation watched nervously as a sleek, dark ship approached. It moved with impossible speed and grace, stopping perfectly alongside the Seeker. 6 humans in advanced spacesuits entered through the airlock. Their leader, a tall man with dark skin and serious eyes, removed his helmet. "Commander Johnson," he said simply, "you're a long way from home, Ambassador." Krelax bowed low. "We come seeking help. The Council space is under attack by a species called the Voidborn. Our defenses are failing." Eric's face showed no surprise. "The Voidborn, we wondered when they would return." "You knew they would come back." "We've been monitoring them for decades. That's why we maintained patrols along the outer rim." Eric looked at each delegation member. "The same patrols your council called unnecessary and refused to help fund." Krelax lowered his head. "We were wrong. Many have already died because of our mistake." Eric's expression softened slightly. "Follow us. Our command will decide whether to help." As the Seeker was escorted deeper into the system, the delegation gasped at what they saw. Dozens of planets showed signs of human settlement. Massive space stations orbited gas giants. Shipyards larger than any in Council space built vessels of incredible design. "How did they achieve so much in just 3 years?" whispered a council member. Nicole smiled sadly. "Without the Council's restrictions and regulations, human innovation accelerated. My father always said humans work best when challenged." Their ship approached a beautiful blue-green planet. Commander Johnson pointed to it. Welcome to New Terra, the heart of human space. President Morris will decide your fate. Ambassador Krelax stood on the bridge of the Council ship Seeker as it traveled beyond known space. His silver skin reflected the dim light as he studied the star charts. For 2 weeks, they had followed faint energy trails that might lead to human settlements. Ambassador, we have found something, called the sensor officer. An abandoned station ahead. The Seeker slowed as it approached a small human outpost floating in the darkness. The station showed no signs of damage, just empty halls and powered-down systems. It appears they left this place in good order, said Captain Morax, not in a hurry or under attack. Krelax walked through the empty rooms. In one area, he found a map showing more stations farther out, creating a line of outposts stretching deep into uncharted space. They were expanding, he said, setting up way stations for a planned migration. Back on the Seeker, the delegation reviewed the data they had collected. Each abandoned outpost showed more advanced technology than the last. The humans had not been idle during their exile. Nicole Martinez sat quietly during these discussions. Half human and half Selnar, she had joined the mission as a navigator. Her human father had taught her to recognize the unique energy signature of human jump drives. Ambassador, she said softly, I believe I can track their path more efficiently. Human ships leave a special kind of trace in hyperspace. Krelax nodded. Please proceed. With Nicole's guidance, the Seeker made better progress. They passed through a region of space where the stars seemed brighter, the nebula more vibrant. They've been terraforming, said the science officer in amazement. These systems show signs of environmental engineering on a scale we've never achieved. In the 4th week of their journey, they found fresh evidence, a recently abandoned mining operation with tools still warm. We're close, said Nicole. Very close. The next day, as they entered a new star system, alarms blared across the ship. The Seeker dropped out of hyperspace suddenly, surrounded by energy barriers that had not been there seconds ago. A trap, shouted Captain Morax. Weapons online. No, Krelax ordered. We came in peace. We will not show aggression. On the view screen, a massive defense perimeter became visible. Thousands of satellites formed a web around the system, and behind them waited ships unlike any the Council had ever built. Human design, whispered Nicole, but far more advanced than what they had 3 years ago. A voice came over the communication system, speaking in the common galactic language. Council vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Krelax stepped forward. I am Ambassador Krelax of the Galactic Council. We seek humanity on a matter of grave importance. Silence followed. Then a new voice, deeper and more authoritative. This is Commander Eric Johnson of the Human Systems Alliance. Remain where you are. A boarding party will inspect your vessel. The delegation watched nervously as a sleek, dark ship approached. It moved with impossible speed and grace, stopping perfectly alongside the Seeker. 6 humans in advanced spacesuits entered through the airlock. Their leader, a tall man with dark skin and serious eyes, removed his helmet. Commander Johnson, he said simply, you're a long way from home, Ambassador. Krelax bowed low. We come seeking help. The Council space is under attack by a species called the Voidborn. Our defenses are failing. Eric's face showed no surprise. The Voidborn. We wondered when they would return. You knew they would come back. We've been monitoring them for decades. That's why we maintain patrols along the outer rim. Eric looked at each delegation member. The same patrols your council called unnecessary and refused to help fund. Krelax lowered his head. We were wrong. Many have already died because of our mistake. Eric's expression softened slightly. Follow us. Our command will decide whether to help. As the Seeker was escorted deeper into the system, the delegation gasped at what they saw. Dozens of planets showed signs of human settlement. Massive space stations orbited gas giants. Shipyards larger than any in Council space built vessels of incredible design. How did they achieve so much in just 3 years? Whispered a council member. Nichols smiled sadly. Without the council's restrictions and regulations, human innovation accelerated. My father always said humans work best when challenged. Their ship approached a beautiful blue-green planet. Commander Johnson pointed to it. Welcome to New Terra, the heart of human space. President Morris will decide your fate.